Hello everyone, and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4. In the last episode, we finished up the Japan run, and it has been almost a year to do a full world conquest as Japan, which, it's been a long time and a lot of episodes, and it's been great fun, and I'm honestly missing it to a little bit. But there's another, and you might notice that I'm still on the No Step Back DLC. There is another thing that I wanted to do before I'm upgrading to the latest DLC. And that other thing has something to do with a little country. So let me tell you a bit of a story before we begin. After the First World War, the League of Nations was created, pretty much with the idea that, hey, this seems to have been terrible, let's not do that again, shall we? And not an awful lot later, Italy was about to show everyone how much power and how much influence the League of Nations really had. So at the time, Italy wanted to have a colony. Well, Italy had colonies, but Italy wanted to connect them. Effectively, what Italy wanted to do was build a railroad between that bit and this bit. So between Somalia and the coast up in the north here. So there was something in the middle, and that was Ethiopia. Ethiopia was actually, well, I wouldn't call it an empire, but it was definitely a country that was recognized internationally. Japan, for starters, which is quite surprising, and it was to me when I was reading about it. Japan was quite fond of Ethiopia because at the time, pretty much the world was of the opinion that only white people could build empires. And the Japanese were sort of the first ones to to try and prove otherwise, but the Ethiopians were pretty much independent still in a continent that was dominated by colonies. So everything was either colonized by France or the United Kingdom, a little bits of Portugal here and there, a bit of Belgium in the center. We do not talk about what Belgium did, and Ethiopia. So the Italians had already tried to conquer Ethiopia, and that did not go well, to everybody's great surprise. Which means that when Italy was poised to do it again, the political climate had to be taken into account, both in Italy and abroad. Because in Italy, Mussolini was in power, and the fascists that were starting to build their base. At the same time, France and England, or the United Kingdom rather, had political interests. Specifically, they were somewhat worried about Germany, which was under new management by evil mustache man himself, and was starting to show ambitions that were scaring everybody a little bit. And in the last war, Italy has been fighting against Germany. So France and the United Kingdom had a vested interest in keeping Italy happy. Italy, at the same time, had a vested interest in not messing around with the British, because, they had vast possessions around in the Mediterranean, and sort of the biggest navy in the world. So when Italy decided that they wanted Ethiopia, and France and the United Kingdom kind of not openly, but also not openly said they could, but also didn't say they couldn't, because they really wanted Italy on their side, because Italy had objections to Germany's expansion into Austria. Then Italy decided, yeah, you know what, we're going to go for it. It was sort of a, nobody told us otherwise, and we'll assume consent and we'll just do it. Which led to the interesting situation that, first of all, Italy assaulted Ethiopia without declaration of war, which was kind of disrespectful, if you be honest. But it also led to Germany actually supplying Ethiopia with weapons, because Ethiopia at the time was, not particularly modern in terms of how they were armed. But Italy then managed to, specifically with the force of light tanks and with the use of chemical weapons, and air force, they were able to overwhelm Ethiopia, defeat them decisively, and that was that kind of showed the world that the League of Nations wasn't all that it was cracked up to be, really. And it gave Mussolini in Italy a huge boost at home, which then led to them obviously eventually joining sides with Germany and everything else. So this is kind of the first. It actually started in 1935, but the game starts in January 1st, 1936. So this is sort of the first active war in the game when you start the game. And this is the tutorial mission. So as Italy, because it's considered, well, the easiest mission, sort of. As Italy, you start off being at war with Ethiopia. And you are, well, in the tutorial, you're guided through conquering Ethiopia. And then you can, then the tutorial ends, and then you can kind of take it from there. So what we're going to be doing is that. Only that in our case, we're not playing as Italy. We are going to play as Ethiopia. This is not easy. And I would say my success rate is probably, at this point, maybe 2 out of 3. So this is going to get quite interesting. This is not an easy fight. Not at all. Because we'll be playing as the king, Haile Selassie himself. We're going to be playing historical focuses, regular. I'm not playing Iron Man mode, not because I'm trying to cheat or reload, but because I can't trust screen recorders and things not to crash occasionally, and I might have to reload and redo part of an episode if that happens. So that's why I'm doing it that way, because I really, really don't want to lose parts of gameplay. I think it happened once in the 66 episodes that I did for Japan, but it's still worth doing that. So no achievements out of that run, but I think there aren't any achievements anyway. So let's go. In this first episode, we are just going to be taking stock and exploring the situation that we're in, because this is going to be tricky. Like I said, this is the tutorial mission, only that in our case, we're coming in from the other side. So, Ethiopia in 1936. Ethiopia is a monarchy. It's non-aligned, 100% under Haile Selassie. We not have any elections. We're not part of any kind of pact or anything. We've got a very low stability of 35%, but our war support is relatively high at 80%. We are at volunteer army currently, but we can obviously, due to the high war support, go up relatively high. The problem is once you go past extensive conscription, your factory output is starting to suffer. We are on export focus, but resource-wise, we have not very much. We'll talk about that in a minute. And we are in civilian economy, so our construction speed of anything is relatively low, and 35% of our factories go into consumer goods, which leads us to look at our factories. Let's have a quick look. We have 2. Yep, 2 factories. Could we build another one? No, because we have one state, Ethiopia, that has 4 building slots, and it's got 2 military factories and 2 civilian factories in it. And that is all we got. Which brings us to trade. We produce 3 rubber, which would be somewhat useful if we were building airplanes. We're not. So we're currently extracting 3 rubber, which exporting 2 of them, and that's it. We have a deficit of steel, which is obvious. And we are landlocked. We have no ports, because Eritrea in the north is held by Italy, and Somaliland in the south is held by Italy, and British Somaliland is held by the British, and French Somaliland is held by the French, and we have no ports. Research-wise, we've got 2 research slots. We know effectively we've got World War I equipment at best, and this is somewhat historically accurate. A lot of the Ethiopians did not have guns at the time, so while they were not like tribal or backwards in any way. They were still sort of at the World War One level of equipment, pretty much, and it was very basic. So we've got no grenades. We only have basic infantry equipment. Let's have a brief look at the difference between the basic infantry equipment and the infantry equipment 1, because that'll become small things will become important. So this gives us 20 defense and 3 soft attack and 2 breakthrough. Breakthrough is defense while attacking. So defense is sort of the stat that we're looking for here. These would give us 22 defense, 6 soft attack, and 3 breakthrough. So it doubles our soft attack while giving us a little bit more defense. Soft attack is mostly what we're interested in because we'll be fighting the Italians. We'll have a look at those in a minute. We have no trucks. We actually do know we do have special forces. We have mountaineers, so we can build mountain divisions. Could. We don't know about support equipment just yet, so no engineering for us. We obviously haven't researched tanks. We also have not researched artillery. All we have is bolt-action rifles. We have no navy, as should be coming to no great surprise because we don't even have a port, and we don't have the interwar technology of aircraft either. And yeah, obviously there's nothing here, so because everybody starts from the same place there. But let's have a look at our army. So let's take stock of that. We've got three types of divisions. So we've got an elite division, which is sort of a royal guard division. This is an 18 with pure infantry, no support equipment. So these divisions have 225 hit points, 60 organization because it's pure infantry, but a decent defense of 180, but a rather pitiful soft attack of 27. And there's only one division, the one in Addis Ababa, that is actually fully equipped and is of that type. Everything else is because Ethiopia has been surprised, is pretty much quickly raised divisions. These are 8 with infantry divisions. They've got 100 hit points, 80 defense, 12 soft attack, and not an awful lot else. Yeah, 8 combat width. So these divisions, if we're looking at our armies, are under-equipped. A lot of these are missing infantry equipment, so they don't have enough guns. We do have one mountain division, and the mountain division template is a 12 width mountaineer division. So again, nothing special here. Purely defensive divisions, and that's all we got. So we have no ships, we have no tanks, we have no planes, and we have a bunch of these divisions. In fact, we have 13 divisions, and that's it. We have 90,000 manpower free, which is not an awful lot. So that's something we're going to have to do something about. But Ethiopia is not tiny. We've got 10 million inhabitants, so we can get a little bit more out of that. But the bigger problem is we don't have any guns, and we are currently producing guns, but we are short on steel. So that is limiting the amount. We get a 15% negative modifier on our production efficiency due to the lack of steel. This is sort of still manageable, but what we once we are getting a couple more military factories, then this will become a little bit more difficult. How are we going to get military factories, you ask? Terry, I thought you just said we can't build anymore. No, we can't, because we're out of building slots. What we can do, however, have is a political focus tree, and this is why I'm doing this on No Step Back, because right now Ethiopia still has the generic focus tree, so they don't have a special focus tree. They've got the default focus tree if nobody else for nations that don't have anyone. In the next DLC, they do get their own focus tree, so I suspect that it's going to be a lot easier going there. I will explore that, but for now, this is what we have to deal with. And this is not actually terrible, because this allows us to get free military factories. So we can get civilians and military factories through the industrial focus tree. We can get 2 extra research slots for a total of 4. And we also have the political tree, where we can squeeze a little bit more. We can focus on making the military the center of our power, and focus on getting additional recruitable population, which we are desperately going to need. We do have a couple of things around in the army that are going to give us research bonuses for things, but production is going to be our main problem. The next problem that we're going to have, and this actually got a lot more difficult in No Step Back, is that we can no longer research doctrines. Because before No Step Back, you could research doctrines. So all you had to do is go to research, pick out a doctrine, and then after however long it was taking, you got it. That's no longer the case, because we now have the officer corps, and we now have the doctrine system, where we need to actually spend military spend army experience to get our doctrines, which is going to be, and we really just have 2 choices here. So what we're going to go for is the Grand Battle Plan Doctrine, but only here, because the first Grand Battle Plan Doctrine is giving us trench warfare. So this effectively means our troops will know how to dig in properly, which means we get entrenchment speed, which is very valuable, and we get plus 10 max entrenchment, not 10%, just a 10 value max entrenchment. If we're looking at our divisions right now, they have a 10% entrenchment maximum, so this will just increase by 10 points once we get there. So that is going to be very valuable. The problem is it costs 100 army experience to get it, and 100 army experience is not something you get your hands on very quickly. The things after that, they give us an increased planning bonus, which is worthless for us. This would be kind of nice. It's a plus 10% defense and plus 10 organizational infantry. So we could continue on this. Alternatively, we can switch over to superior firepower, which means we get an additional soft attack of 10% on all frontline battalions. And then we get the 10 organization for the leg infantry, which is the same that we would get here, but not the defense. And we would get the defense here for the infantry as well. So sort of these 2 together give us the same as the prepared defense. This is useless for us pretty much at this point, but this would give us 10% attack, and this gives us the defense. So if you were only looking at the first three doctrinal effects that we can research, the defensive doctrine is going to be more valuable for us at the beginning, because this is only giving us 10% soft attack. And if we're looking at our divisions again, our divisions, and this is going to be the division we're going to be fighting with, an 8 with infantry, only has 12 soft attack. So it'll give us 13, which isn't going to make any difference. Because what we'll be fighting are fully equipped Italian divisions. We don't know exactly how big they are or how powerful they are. They are mostly pure infantry division. They do have engineers and potentially some artillery support, but we don't know about that very well. But the most of them in the north are just infantry, and it's the same story in the south. There's a bunch of infantry divisions. These are seemingly a little less powerful. There are a couple of pure infantry divisions over here. These are colonial divisions, and so the north is the stronger force. The colonial divisions were raised from local forces, and were used by the Italians as cannon fodder, more or less, as one does. But these divisions are stronger than ours. There is no debating. So we're gonna need a lot of things. We're gonna need guns. We're going to need to hold, And we're going to need to make sure that we somehow manage to survive for long enough that we can get to the point to start inflicting some casualties on the Italians. Because defense is all good and such, but if we're not able to shoot back, if we're just able to hold territory, eventually we will be overwhelmed. So we need to transition into inflicting casualties on the Italians. And the way you inflict casualties in a pure ground infantry trench warfare environment, where we have defensible territory on our side, which is because we've got lots of mountains and river crossings, is artillery. So we are going to need some artillery. We're also going to give up territory because we cannot hold. So there's absolutely no way how we can hold. Let's have a look at the territory, because this is going to become quite important going forward, of our country. We need to utilize every single advantage that we can have. So in the south, we've got some hills here. These are plains. You are not holding plains, especially if people don't really entrench but just hide behind trees and stuff. So this is going. There is an airport here, which would be quite useful to hold, but we don't have any air force, and this is also not a province. That is a province that can be attacked from many different directions. So we're not going to hold that either. What we do have, however, is 4 provinces that we're going to hold. So we have to hold Addis Ababa. If we lose Addis Ababa, we die. That's it. Game over. We also have to hold Harar, because that gives us access to the port in Djibouti, which is French Somaliland, and it opens the opportunity for us to trade. We can also trade through land routes, but this is what we're going to have to be holding. We will also be holding this province and that one for 2 reasons. First of all, these are both mountain provinces. Mountain provinces will give us defensive bonuses, and these 2 are there to prevent the two Italian forces from linking up, because we want to make sure that we can defeat them in detail, and we are not going to be completely surrounded. So we're going to hold this one, which is bordered by rivers, which give us an additional defensive bonus. So this should be reasonably easy to hold. We're not going to need a huge amount of forces. This one gets a little more interesting, because this province can be assaulted from 3 sides. It can be attacked from the south here and here, and from the north here across the river. Across the river is not so much of a problem, but but being attacked from 3 sides at once means that the Italians can bring a fair amount of it increases the combat width, and the Italians can bring a fair amount of forces to bear from all directions. The linchpin obviously is Addis Ababa and the central province, because they can assault from 1, 2, 3, not from here because we'll be holding that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I believe that is connected as well. So from 5 provinces they can assault here. This is where the heavy fighting is going to be. We're also going to be holding the eastern province here, and traditionally they don't care about that much, because both of these provinces here can attack the capital. So they're going to prioritize trying to assault the capital, which means we can hold this with relatively few forces, and we will try to maintain this line here to make sure that they don't link up. And then we're going to dig in and try to get our guns and equipment sorted out. But the very first thing that we're going to have to do is retreat into these provinces and try. We will also have to cycle our divisions through, because if the Italians can manage to push them out of one, if we lose 1 province out of these 4, it's game over. These are the 4 provinces that we need to hold. So that's what we're aiming for. This is going to get interesting. All right, let's begin, shall we? Let's begin with research. We do need to improve our factory output. This while these are giving us increased maximum factories, that's not what we're after, because we only have 1 province, so it's not all that interesting. We're not really going to build factories. We're going to go through the focus tree to organize that. What it gives us, however, is increased factory output. So and it gives us a better production efficiency cap, which is also quite important. So this line and this line here are sort of where it's important for us. We're going to go down concentrated industry because it has the higher factory output modifier. The other thing that is extremely essential for us is to have the radio, because the radio gives us reinforce rate and coordination, which allows us to focus better on targets, and more importantly, it allows us to reinforce more quickly. Because if we start shuffling divisions around between territories, which we are going to have to, such that certain divisions will be pulled off the front lines to rest and recover, and other divisions will be brought back onto the front lines that have recovered. Getting them to reinforce running battles is essential, because even if we have 5 divisions in a province, if they don't manage to get it to the front line in time, then this is a problem. And historically, the Ethiopians were suffering from this very much because they didn't have radio communication. They were relying on foot messengers, and they just didn't manage to get the forces to where they needed to be. So this is a key technology that we're going to have to do. The other 2 key technologies that we're going to go after is we're going to get the better weapons, just because we want to, because of production efficiency. We could stick with the basic infantry equipment, but in terms of material, they cost the same, and these just have better stats. So we get double the soft attack. This adds 100% soft attack for us, pretty much, compared to the basic equipment. So this is essential. And artillery. Artillery is absolutely essential. We effectively need to get whatever the world that is, probably some form of 75mm field gun. These things we need because they give us 25 soft attack. This is how we can start inflicting damage to the Italians on the defense, because we're not going to do that with bolt action rifles. We're going to need heavy weapons. That's how we're going to be causing casualties to the Italians. So that is essential as well. But for that, in order to happen, first we need to solve the problem of guns, and we're going to also need our military experience, our army experience towards the doctrine, which gets us to our political advisors. We could try to get any of these, but they're pretty much all useless for us. We're not going to get an agency, because we literally don't have 5 factories to create one. So that's not happening. We could get a captain of industry for construction speed, but we're not going to build anything. We don't really need trade relations that much. We will trade, but we don't need to work on it. We don't want to change our type of government. And he's kind of the only one that'll come in useful later. What is much more important is our military staff. So we do want we do have 2 advisors that we can use for the chief of army. We can either work with somebody who's giving us 10% division defense, which is great because it means our divisions take less damage. Or we can get somebody who gives us 8% more organization, which means our divisions can stay on the front lines for longer. Defense is probably what I'm going to go with, but I'm going to have to check my notes. That's the army defense. I'm not even sure which one I'm going to take. I'm checking my notes, but I don't think I've taken notes on who to take here for chief of army. Maybe I will focus on the right. Yes, because I start remembering. It's been a while. Because what I want to focus first is the military high command. Because while we have an army defense advisor here, he costs 100 political power to get into position, and we can get for the same money, or for the same political power, we can also get an infantry expert who's going to give us 15% and 10% attack, and that's much better. So for the same price, we can get somebody in the high command who's better than that. And later on, we can get our own field marshal into the chief of army. There's also there's also the army regrouping expert, who is going to give us division recovery rate, which means our divisions recover faster between assaults, which is absolutely essential. So these are the two that we're going to be aiming for. We can think about getting a military theorist, because that means we have to spend less army experience on land doctrines. But we're really just aiming towards. First, we're going to need these. So if we have political power left, then that's something. And we could get ourselves maybe a material designer, but honestly, because that would get our artillery research done quicker, but not an absolute necessity early on. We do want to get to extensive conscription. We do want to get to free trade, because that gives us plus 15% factory output. And right now we only have plus 10, so we get an extra 5% factory output. And we don't have anything to do with our resources anyway. So free trade is going to be an essential one as well. And we obviously want to go to a war economy. But that is going to become more important down the road, because right now we have one factory going to consumer goods, because we have a 35% consumer goods, but we only have two factories. But we're going to get more factories through the focus tree, like I mentioned earlier. So that down the road that'll become important. We also want there are a couple of things here in the officer corps that we want. We can probably take the bold attack or the tenacious defense, but I'm leaning towards the bold attack, because it is giving us more, giving our generals, when they rank up, more attack power. I think the professional officer corps is going to probably be the one. Alternatively, we can take the elevated engineering corps for higher entrenchment speed, so that is also quite good. We'll have to see which one we take here. And here, most likely, what we could take victory or death, but static warfare, because it gives us entrenchment speed and 10% max entrenchment, not 10 points, 10%, is also a good one, because that's kind of where we were starting out with. So the first 100 army experience are going to go in here, because that gives us 10 points entrenchment, 10 percentage points, which is a lot. So just to compare that, right now our divisions have a maximum entrenchment of 10%. So if I was going to spend 50 on static warfare, that would give me 1% max entrenchment. Whereas if I was going to spend 100 on the trench warfare doctrine, that'll bump it up to 20%. And entrenchment isn't just good for defense; it's also good for hurting other people. So we're doing World War I tactics here, and this is going to be a numbers game, and we're going to be on the edge probably for the next 2 years. But the overall goal of this whole operation is, first, defeat the Italians. Now there is a decision here to defeat the colonizers. This will cause a wide peace between Italy and Ethiopia, which means no peace conference, but we just stop the war. That would be nice to get, but it's not an absolute requirement. No, what we actually want to do, and I'm going to set two goals. The first goal is that we reconquer, we liberate Eritrea and Somaliland from the Italians, and incorporate them into the Ethiopian Empire. The second goal, and that'll sort of depend on if you still want to keep watching this, because it is getting a little tedious. It's going to get a little tedious. Lots of land warfare. The second goal would be to liberate Africa from all the colonizers. So effectively bring all of Africa under the control of the Ethiopian Empire, and that would be the second goal. Not sure if we're going there. Will depend kind of how many of you are interested in that sort of thing, because we are going to have to fight in Africa. And as you can see, there is no infrastructure. There's a supply hub here that isn't connected, and we're not going to be able to connect because, well, Italy. And the next supply hub is sort of down south here. There are a couple here along the coastline, but anywhere in the center, there is nothing. Going north, there are some decent supply lines, so pushing the British out back towards Alexandria would be something that we would be doing. And then we can't obviously fight in the Sahara, so that's all a large no-go area. But we could fight for the rest of Africa, and we would have to take on the Allies, obviously, because most of it is going to be owned by France and the UK. So these are the goals. Let's organize ourselves and get everything research-wise done. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to start researching weapons 1. Again, let me check my notes here. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for infantry equipment 1. Because this is gonna start relatively slowly. We'll be able to hold in the mountains against the conscripted forces relatively easily. But we want that as early as possible to build up our production efficiency. The other thing that we're probably going to be doing is we're going to go down here and then the radio. So these are the two researches that we're doing. We are going to start with political effort, which is going to give us 120 political power, which is enough to get an advisor. And then we're probably going to stay there and focus on the industrial effort. We also need to do the army effort, because that one is very important. It gives us a 50% cost reduction for land doctrine and 5 army experience. So we need to do that in time, such that we can get ourselves the trench warfare doctrine for 50 XP. So that's also essential, but first we're going to do political effort. The industrial effort is also good, gives us a 100% research bonus for the industry, which is one reason also I'm not doing the industry just yet, because we can use that research bonus to get through that. Okay, so political effort is what we're going to be doing. And we don't need war propaganda right now. We're not going to do any of these things. We might do the commandeer civilian trains, but our stability is already dreadful. Yeah, logistics, by the way. We have 5 convoys. I don't know where we put them. I will assume that we parked them in the French port here, but we have 5 convoys. Convoys are going to be pretty essential, because we will need to trade, and there is something that we can do, which I believe was the reorganized railway system. We don't need that right now. But yeah, that's it. We have no trucks, we have no trains. So this is all we got as it is. All our supply comes from the capital, and that's good enough for the defense. But once we are starting to push out, we're going to have to get to work with that. One thing that I'll mention here, we could try to build a fortress, because we have a civilian factory and we have nothing else that we can build. We could try to build a fortress. The problem is, this will give a 15% attack penalty for the attacker. Although this gets reduced by attacking from multiple directions. So if the Italians are attacking, say, building a fort here is pretty ineffective, because the Italians have 5 provinces from which they can attack, and construction doesn't happen if you're under assault. So did I take a note? Yeah. What we're going to do instead is we're going to build a fort here. Now, this may or may not complete. It'll always depend a little bit how the Italians are doing things, but we're going to build a fortress here. And I'm just going to put it up to level 3, and we'll see how that goes. And we're also going to build a fort here and a fort here. But we're not going to build a fort in the center because it's just not happening. So we're just fortifying this a little bit. This just gives our civilian factories something to do, because there's nothing else we can do with them. We could build infrastructure, but the Italians are going to blow it up anyway. So may as well not bother. So let's go for our divisions here. Obviously, we've got 13 divisions. All these 13 divisions are going to go into an army. And we have a general. So let's have a look. This is always different for every run. So let's see what we got. We have a Desert Fox. I'm not sure if he's getting that every time, but that means we get plus 10 attack and 10% attack and defense and movement in the desert. That's great. He's got 2 skills, so we get plus 5 attack, plus 5% defense. We get the planning skill, and we get the reduced supply consumption. So he's going to become our general. He's going to take on that army. We will get ourselves a field marshal once we have the command power to hire one, because I think we need we need 5 command power to get a new commander, and then we need to promote him to field marshal. So that's pretty much all there is to say about it. What else do we have to sort out? We do have to trade. So the problem is, if we only have one factory. So if we're trading away we are, in fact, actually, let me get rid of these again. We will try to get to level 2 or maybe level 3 forts, but we will then need that factory to trade for steel, because our production is a bit hampered right now, but we're going to be switching any production anyway. But especially when we switch production, we need to start trading for steel, because the lack of steel is going to impact the efficiency growth, and we need that up so we produce more. In fact, we want 4 factories on infantry equipment, because that's all we have it right now anyway. All right. What else? We can't train anybody right now. But we're gonna get rid of the elite status of that division, and we're going to change the symbol of these guys. These are just going to be my traditional infantry divisions these are just going to be regular infantry divisions for holding. We want to eventually build this up to a better size. We do want artillery in these divisions, and we want to switch everything to that division. But for now, we're going to stick. We leave the one mountain troops that we have. Everybody else needs to we need to disengage from the front as quickly as we can. Now the Italians are going to start attacking us, and that means we're not going to be getting away. But what we'll do is we'll pack everybody onto. We'll get everybody to pack up, and we will get everybody to retreat. And I do want, I have that written down again. Sorry, I do need to refer to my notes, because this is really easy to mess up. I want 2, 4, 5, 2. So we want the 2 divisions here. That's another 2 divisions. They can go, we have to make sure that they're retreating the right direction. So this way, and then through here, and then there. We're going to get 2 divisions retreating here, and that 1 division retreating there. And that should be okay. And the divisions from the south, this division is going to go to Addis Ababa, and these are going to go here, and I believe those are going to go there. And that should leave us with, let's see, that's 2 divisions here. 2 divisions here plus 2, that's 4, and that's 2 divisions in the capital plus 2 from here, and plus the one that's already there, that's 5, and that one, and then that leaves 2 over here. Yeah, so I think we've got 2, 4, 5, 2, so that should be correct. Why are these guys not using the train? You have to use the train, please. So definitely make sure that you're using, no. There we go. That's better. Definitely move as quickly as you can. So leave everything behind. Just retreat. Just trade for time. We're going to change this division because this division is fully equipped. We're going to change this division to the old infantry division. That'll give us 500 infantry equipment that we can redistribute. So we'll do that. And then we'll let them there. We'll let them be entrenched here, and we will wait for these divisions to make their way back. But yeah, this is going to be a hard fight, and I'm going to let it run until we have our defensive lines, and then I'll end the episode there because it's been a while already. So let's see if we can get away from the front lines. Everybody is moving, but of course, as soon as the Italians are attacking. Especially, I think this province always gets attacked. But yeah, so immediately fall back. Let's see if we can get them to fall back. But I think the other provinces can get away. Yeah, we can get them to fall back, and then once they've done that, they can proceed to go there. The other divisions should be able to get away without contact. We do not want to have contact with the Italians, ideally. So we want everybody to fall back as quickly as they possibly can, because attrition is a problem, as you can see, and we will lose equipment by moving around in the mountains and everything else. So we want these two divisions to fall back as quickly as they possibly can, such that they can dig in and build their defensive positions in the mountains. As much as they can dig in at this point, because digging in is something that takes time and that we're still learning about. So we are trying to fall back, but it's not going to take long. So we couldn't have stood our ground against these Italian divisions. There's absolutely no way we could have stood our ground against these Italian divisions. There's too many of them. They are more powerful than ours. Actually, in fact, let's actually have a quick look, because we do get a chance to look at the Italian divisions. So these are, I believe, regular Italian infantry divisions. They do have a soft attack of 23, which is actually not that different from ours. So while their commander is... They do also have air support, obviously, which is not something we can do anything about. But they are not extremely powerful at this point. So these are... Yeah, no armor, just pure infantry. These are pure infantry divisions. And the southern divisions are a little bit weaker. So we already got two divisions stationed here. And these two divisions are going... This is going to be our rest province. This is where divisions go to recover, because the Italians are unlikely to attack that province. Let me just double check. Yeah, you need to keep going, please. So falling back, trading land, and getting out of there before the Italians can go in. So we should have lost... And this is also something we're going to be keeping a close eye on. We've lost 220 men, but more importantly, we've lost 20 guns in combat and 4 to attrition, which is nasty. I would like to not lose these, but generally you cannot make it out of this province alive. That's just not something that happens. So at least not without contact. But at least through their noble sacrifice, the rest of my divisions can make it through as much as possible. But yeah, moving around in the mountains is not great, because it means we are taking attrition. And don't worry, I'm not going to let it run on 1 speed. I just wanted to see the divisions getting away from there. Let's see if we made it out in time. This is going to take... Moving in the mountains takes a while, so... We're starting to have 4 divisions in Addis Ababa, and yes, as you can see, they're all very low on organization right now, because we've just moved them very quickly. Okay, these need to hurry up, please. They have now disengaged, and they need to use whatever transportation they can get. And we've got 2, 4, 5, 2. Yeah, that's the layout that I wanted to get. So let's just wait until these divisions are in place, and then we will have, yeah, the Italians are already taking territory, but that's all the territory they're ever going to get. So once we are, this might have been, no, I don't think they're going to push from there. It's a bit, is this, no, no, they can't get there because I think it's a lake or something there. Okay, so that's safe to move through. And everybody else needs to dig in. As you can see, this stat here, entrenchment, is what we want. This is our friend. The problem is once we start shuffling divisions between the territories, they lose their entrenchment, which is really not something we want. So ideally, we don't want to move divisions around, but we currently have to, because and there we've got all the divisions in place. I'm going to pause it here. This is the line we're going to hold. And we're going to be holding it probably until late 1937. And then we might be able to push the Italians back. But until then, we have to sort out our equipment problems. So we currently only have 60% of equipment ready. We're sorely deficient on infantry equipment. We're lacking 1,600 guns. We've lost 30 guns because of the initial assault by the Italians, plus whatever got broken while we were moving through the mountains. That's something we need to replenish, and we need to improve our defenses for starters, because again, our individual divisions are weak. They only have a defense of 80. That is not an awful lot, and while they have decent organization, their hit points are not great. So if you lose hit points, that's where you start taking casualties as well. So in very simple terms, that's the wrong one. If they can overcome the defense, we are starting to take damage, and then that'll lower our organization, and that's when we also start taking losses. And taking losses is not something we want, because we don't have an awful lot of people, but the whole concept is going to be around inflicting more losses on the Italians than we're actually taking. So that's what we're going to be doing. Anyway, that's it for me today. Let me know what you think, and if you want to go all the way. I'll ask that again if we manage to get the victory against Italy. But do we want to just defeat Italy, or do we want to liberate Africa under the Ethiopian Empire? Because that's a whole different kind of worms, and fighting in Africa is always funny. Plus, that means we'll be at war with Britain, with the Allies as well. So, yeah, that's it for me today. Thanks, everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.